Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with the Chance of Meeples. Today on the channel, we are taking a look at a logic game called Cat Crimes. A who's to blame logic game. You got 6 sketchy cats. All cats are sketchy in my opinion. I'm not really a cat fan. I'm also allergic to cats, as is Nicole. So there's no reason for us to have a cat. But lots of our friends have cats, and that's all right. I'm not actually against cats. But anyways, they're all sketchy cats. Look at this one. Eating a bird. Come on. This one got a fish in the mouth. Who's to blame in this logic game from Think Fun? I'm a fan of stuff that Think Fun does. And so I'm going to show you what you get and how this one works. It says 40 puzzles, or what is this? Crimes to solve from beginner all the way to expert. And so let's dive in the radar overview, and then I'll come back and share my final forecast. Cue the thunder. So the radar overview for Cat Crimes. Who's to blame logic game. Looks something like this. I'm going to show you 2 of these puzzles. I'm going to show you the first 2 beginner ones. And they start pretty easy, as you'll see momentarily. Intermediate, advanced, and then expert. And I'll show you kind of how they progressively get harder. But let's start with number 1. You always take whatever object that the cats destroyed and you put it onto the board. This is a recess board, or 2-layer board I should say. And I also say that each of these cats come with a stand that you can stand them up. I personally, every time I play, just lay them flat because they kind of just block things, and you'll see. But let's see who ruined the shoes. So it says Mr. Mittens and Pipsqueak were upstairs sleeping. So they're out of the equation. They're not in this one. Next it says Tomcat was sitting in front of the catnip and socks. So you look, well, you got catnip and socks and catnip and socks. And so there's 6 spots around the table. It can't be here because it's only in front of the socks. So clearly Tomcat has to be here. Sassy was sitting in front, or sitting across from Tomcat. So there's Sassy. What do we have here? We have Ginger was sitting next to the fishbowl. So this would be in front. This would be next to. This would be next to. So it could be either one of these. And Duchess was sitting to the left of Sassy. So obviously this is Sassy's left. And so Duchess must be sitting there, which means Ginger has to be sitting here. So this would show that Duchess was in fact the culprit who attacked and destroyed the shoes. And then it says the guilty cat is Duchess, and it shows how the setup was. So we were right. Let's do one more so you can kind of get another glimpse of how these work. So who spilled the coffee? Let's find the coffee. Put it here. Let's remove all these cats. And then it says Mr. Mittens was sitting in front of the bird cage. So Mr. Mittens is in this one. There you go. Tomcat was sitting across from Mr. Mittens. So across obviously is a cross. Pipsqueak was sitting in front of a mouse. So we got a mouse here and a mouse here. So Pipsqueak could be in either one of them. We're not sure which one. Duchess was sitting next to Pipsqueak. Okay, so Duchess is clearly on the same side. We'll do that. Sassy was sitting next to Ginger, and Ginger was not sitting across from Duchess. And so Sassy was sitting next to Ginger, which we clearly know. So we got to figure out this part. So Pipsqueak was sitting in front of the mouse. So let's say Pipsqueak in front of this mouse. Duchess was sitting next to Pipsqueak. Sassy was sitting next to Ginger, and Ginger was not sitting across from Duchess. So Ginger not sitting across from Duchess. And so we flip over, and Sassy is the guilty cat, and once again we are right. So that's how things work in this. And as you go to, I'm going to show you expert number 40, which I was able to finish, but who broke the flower pot? It gets increasingly harder because it doesn't talk about any of the names, and kind of it just talks about their characteristics. So a cat with blue eyes was sitting in front of a bell ball, and so Tomcat and Ginger have blue eyes. And then you go, a cat wearing a bow was sitting 3 seats from a cat with stripes, but also to the left of a cat with white paws. So you increasingly have to start looking at the characteristics. Each of them kind of have two, whether it be the stripes or the long fur or the bows or the bells or I don't know what else, white paws. And so they do increasingly get challenging. There are 40 to solve, as it says, from beginner to expert. And so there you have it. That is the radar overview of cat crimes. Let's now take a look at the final forecast. So the final forecast for cat crimes, a logic deduction game, activity, game, whatever. You can call it a game. Single player, that's what it says. I've done this with my kids. I'll get back to that momentarily. I think the components of this are nice, thick cardboard, lots of different challenges, 40 of them. They start very easy, go up to quite challenging. And the last one, number 40, I did in about 30, let's say 30 minutes per se. That last one, it's just talking about characteristics of the cats. So it starts just naming them, kind of where exactly they're sitting, and it ends with this cat with this characteristic, not sitting by this cat with this characteristic, but sitting across from this cat with this characteristic, and so on and so forth. So they do progressively get harder. I'm not a teacher. If I was a teacher by trade, I would probably have this in my classroom, and I could see a lot of teachers getting a lot of value in something like this in their classroom, because this is a great logic puzzle that teaches kids problem-solving skills. Like I said, it starts pretty easy, but then it starts about the characteristics, and that's what I've loved doing this with my kids. Did about half of them with my kids. They were considerably challenged when we got to the advanced ones, and then I wanted to try to do an expert one by myself, and I was able to do it. But it gets pretty challenging. It teaches, obviously, logic. It teaches deduction. And it teaches your directions, because some of the instructions are, Sassy is sitting to the left of a cat wearing a bow. And so when it's set up on the board, you have to look at it and be like, hey, this is actually Sassy's left. And so the cat on this side is to the right, and so it teaches directions. At times I was actually turning the board facing me so I could be centered to be like, hey, this is my right, because when it's across the table per se, everything's backwards, right? My right is the cat's left, and so on and so forth. So definitely fun problem-solving skills. I did it most of these with my daughter, 9 years old, and it was fun to read these because she loves mysteries and solving mysteries per se, and reading these. And I would read a clue, and okay, she would put it down. Or these cats are sleeping. Okay, let's take those ones out. They're not in the equation. And then there were times where I'd put Ginger, while Ginger's by the birdcage, and I'd be corrected. My daughter would be like, well, no, Ginger can't be beside a cat with white paws, and Mr. Mittens is sitting by the birdcage. And it's like, wow, that's pretty snappy. You picked up on that. And that is what this thing does. It's awesome. It's amazing. I love it. Like I said, I'm a fan of logic puzzles, not a fan of cats, but this one was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun moments working with my kids. Teaches the directions, logic, just fun. This could easily be an app, but I like it that it's a tactile experience. I'm not necessarily a fan of the stands because they kind of get in the way of the board, but the tactile experience of moving the things around isn't just another thing that I enjoyed about this, because this could easily just be digital, online, whatever. Logic puzzles, I'm sure there are a dime a dozen, but the tactile aspect of it is a lot of fun. So if you like logic puzzles, if you like cats, there's a slam dunk. If you like logic puzzles and not cats, you'll probably still enjoy this. I know there's a dog one. I would like to try that one too. I'm not necessarily a fan of dogs. I like dogs more than cats, but just not a pet fan. Let's just say that. But don't have a rating for this one. Just great. If you're looking for, no screen activity to challenge yourself and challenge your kids, check out Cat Crimes. Till next time, my name is Brent. Grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.